Rising Psychics. My name is Autumn, and this is Unity, and this is The Psychic Perspective.
Welcome to The Psychic Perspective. The aim of this podcast is to help everyone further their journey of showing up as their highest self. We hope that we can be some assistance to you.
So today we're just mostly going to be talking, this is me and Unity's first time really talking face to face, so we're kind of just going to let it roll, and this is what we're talked about, maybe a little bit of how we met and things like that. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. In lak ek alaki. Okay, I found the pronunciation, that's how you say it. In lak ek alaki. In lak ek, I don't know where the stress is on that word. Lak ek alaki. I don't know. Maybe it's not that important, I don't know.
No, I mean, at the end of it, it's not that important. The meaning is what's most important, you know.
So maybe, do you want to try to say it together? So that we can do an outro,
Yeah, sure.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
In lak ek alakin. In lak ek alakin. Yeah, we're definitely gonna need some practice.
It's gonna be funny to show our tries.
yeah.
That's gonna be funny. Because I want to be very open and honest.
Yeah, I'm with that. I love just throwing in some funny stuff and just being kind of goofy and silly.
Some things I've noticed, some spiritual creators, they are so needed, and I've needed them many times in my life where they're intense and they have a message for you and that is it.
No, literally, no jokes, yeah.
But I cannot be that person.
Nah, no problem. Yeah. I mean, I think it's better to just even, and that's one of the reasons why I really like Brendan, Mystic Spider-Man. I don't know if you got in touch with him yet.
Cool.
Yeah, it's because when we first talked, he was you gotta have fun, you gotta laugh, you gotta be silly, you know. I haven't in a while, and I'm planning on meeting up with them, doing the creator stuff and all that, you know. But like I said, I'm doing 20 million things.
That's Ben mentally. So we text him once in a while, and he'll show me information, and he's super nice about it. Here's
exactly. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, it's I'll get there. I'm coming. I'll be there. I think it's really cool. I really appreciate what he's done. Especially literally what he's done, what he's built, you know, what he's doing right now. I really appreciate just being able to you know, because this is still super new for me, right? When I think about TikTok, everything that I'm doing right now, this is not what I intended to do, right? I'm just kind of oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. All right, you know, the universe is okay, come on. You can see what you have to do.
Podcast voice,
you know?
though. I've been told to have a good one for a female. I have been told that, because at least it's not that.
Yeah. No, you have a nice speaking voice, yeah.
So I think that in itself too will get a lot of people interested.
Yeah, it's funny. It's been such a wild journey so far. The past it's almost been a year since I started posting on that account on TikTok. It's been such a wild journey. A lot of people have told me that. They've been dude, just the first time I went live on TikTok, that's what 90% of the people were saying. They're dude, start a podcast. They were fucking read me to sleep. You know, I was okay.
I don't right now. I don't read, but I will.
Yeah, no. So now I'm starting to do that. You know, I'm working on different audiobooks and stuff like that. But it's just super funny because before, it's not so much that I was self-conscious about the way that I sounded, but it's I wasn't too sure. It's I've been thinking about this a lot, but you know, people have always told me that I look intimidating, right? You know,
Whatever.
Which is kind of cool. You know what I mean? Somebody says that to me, I'm all right, you know, and especially yeah, it's you know, it is what it is, you know. Especially being a high schooler and, you know, being a POC on top of that, and you know, whatever else, all that stuff, right? It's just on top of that, oh, well, you look scary. It's Cool. I'm just trying to.
I'm scared.
Yeah, I'm trying to not be intimidating. And then on top of that, like I can't tell you the number of times I've just been like playing online, like playing a video game, and I'm not talking, and then I say something and somebody freaks out. Like, so yeah, no, literally, like this one time I was just playing like Overwatch, and I forgot. I made a simple like call out. I was like, oh, this character in the back, and the person was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. I was like, whoa, you can't just be coming out like that all deep and shit. I was like, my bad for talking. Like I don't know what you want me to do. And then like another funny one, I was playing Fortnite with my friend, and we're playing in like open lobbies, like just like the practice like area, and I forgot what I said. I like asked my friend something, and then this kid was like, whoa, whose dad just got on the mic? I was like, okay, like, my bad. It's actually super funny.
Funny before, but now look.
No, literally, it's funny because like all of those things, like I've seen other people talk about this, like neurotic, like holding patterns and stuff like that. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of like stuff like that.
Neurotic holding pattern.
Yeah, it's just like your muscles and like it's the same way like you'll have like like habits, right, that form from like what's the word I'm looking for, like the neural networks in your brain that are bad habits basically, right? Like you have those for multiple things, just like how you carry yourself, how you talk, right? It like trauma like creates neurotic holding patterns and like stuff like that. And I'm just like, I learned this year, I'm like, oh, I've been for a long time altering the way that I sound out of some subconscious just like like desire to not be threatening, not be like
that's really what it boils down to. That's
it's just like it's just like crazy to like think about.
Yeah, I know mine definitely, like, I've had to look at myself and be like, okay, am I actually upset about this? Do I need to actually change something about myself? Am I doing something wrong? Or am I just having that preconceived idea that something's wrong and that someone's told me that before? And so now I'm thinking that everything I'm doing is, so.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I might look into those. You said they were neurotic?
Yeah, neurotic holding patterns. Yeah. Yeah. The context that I've seen the most like talked about is with speaking, but like I said, it applies to like a lot of things.
This life's just hard sometimes.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's just funny because like the whole reason that I was saying that, if we were to talk a year ago and you told me that I had a good like podcast voice, I would have been like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like I've been like, no, I don't. Like, but now it's like so many people have told me that, and I'm like, oh, I guess I do. Like.
It's nice too when like your audience highlights something in you that they like.
Yeah, yeah. And you can just like, yeah.
Like we talked about the jack of all trades but master of none, but better than a master of one thing, and that definitely plays into I think both of our lives. It sounds like. But it's hard for me to decipher which path to like run with the most, like what to put most of my time into, or if I should put most of my time into just one thing,
Yeah.
But it's nice to hear from like my audience, hey, we like this about you, or we like this part of you that you might not have even noticed. Can you show us more of that?
Exactly.
Definitely helps with that.
Yeah. No, I'm so grateful like to everyone. Now it's funny, I'm grateful to the people that have shown me hate. I'm grateful to the people that have shown me love. Like I'm grateful for all of it because it's like it's just helped me to see more of who I am and really like start to show up as my highest self.
Yeah,
so that's awesome.
Yeah. I feel very much like I'm definitely in the process, still always will be. That's life, like as I'm living any experience, but it's just cool that I'm not at the perspective where most 20-year-olds or 21-year-olds are at, where they think, okay, my life is horrible, everything's happening to me, not happening from me, and it's like kind of that mindset is now just gone. Like now at least I'm like, okay, I chose to be here. I chose to go through this bullshit. So like why did
exactly. Yep.
I can be mad at her, but I can still go through it.
No, I mean exactly.
I got pissed at you. I don't like this thing.
Yep.
Get me out of it.
It's funny. So obviously, or if it's not obvious already, I love memes. You know, I feel like most people probably do. Yeah. You just remind me of this one meme. One of my favorite like spiritual memes. It's I feel like it's a pretty well-known meme, but I kind of forgot what the guy actually looks like. But it's just a dude pointing at himself in the mirror, and the caption is, "When you finally confront the person responsible for all the bullshit in your life." And it's just him in the mirror, like, like.
I've videos too.
Yeah, like
when you realize you're the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I love that, like, because that's what it is, like.
I chose all the bullshit. I chose all the good shit. I'm just like, all right, this is fine.
Yep.
Just living life.
Yep.
It's,
No, I mean,
I you know what's weird too is I now don't. My old Autumn, like a year ago or 2 years ago, would not even talk to this Autumn. You know, like that one wouldn't even want to meet her or think she'd call her crazy because she says that she does witchcraft sometimes, or that she's a spiritual person, or she likes crystals and she believes in all this stuff. I would have been so like, I don't want to talk to her. She's weird. I've met people like that before in my life where I just brushed them off, you know, like didn't think anything farther. And I really like, now I'm looking and I'm like, damn, I love who I am. And it's cool that I'd rather get the hate from old me than be, you know?
Yeah, so, I feel that. Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Yeah, also, I meant to ask, do you by chance remember the S like name that like came to you when like we interacted in the astral?
That was the thing, is I was seeing like S letters, but I think now I was seeing light language. Now that
okay.
I think that it was light language because I think you're clairaudient more. Is that correct? Like, because you heard my voice, right?
Yeah.
I saw things. So like I saw the letter S, so I thought it was S. Like that, I thought that's what your name started with. So I'm assuming that that's some form of light language now. I wasn't sure how to like understand all of the things I was seeing yet, and I didn't get it yet. So I was like, oh, I see an S. That means his name starts with S. Like I went the very simple route.
Yeah. I mean, so here's the interesting thing though. Well, at first when I like when you sent me that, you know, and you asked me that, like nothing came to mind. I was just kind of like, well, no, you know, my name doesn't start with S. So like that doesn't, you know, I didn't like think too much of it. But I don't know if you see like here in Zoom, my name, right? It's like Suta Unity Perspective Seeker. And basically Suta is a name that I created for a character that is basically me in a story that I've been writing with my friends. But yeah, so Suta, so his name, my name is Suta Hikari, right? Which means starlight, right? So I just thought that was a very interesting, like, you know,
little memory right now, like, because I heard I saw an S, but I saw a T too. There was something. I'm trying to go back into my brain of months ago when I was in this meditation.
I think you did say that in your video, right? You were like ST like something, right? Like
yeah. I think that's So maybe it wasn't light language because I haven't seen the S yet. I just assumed it was maybe light language because I've started to get more symbols lately.
Yeah.
I just didn't decipher it. So like maybe it could be both. Yeah, I just know I want to see baby pictures of you at some point.
Yeah.
Like maybe not baby, like around like 7 years old-ish.
Like young, yeah.
Right around when I saw you. I saw you.
Facts.
So if it's exactly what I saw, then I'm already mind blown, and obviously there's some together, but I think it'd be a cool little piece of information.
Yeah. No, definitely. I'll try to find some pictures. I don't know. I don't think I have anything on hand, but I can definitely just ask my mom or something. Or actually, I probably have pictures on Facebook. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe just everyone that was curious if you really, because I remember like it was a shorter afro, and then you had the same exact skin tone you have now, maybe like a little darker back then, but yeah, and then you just 7 years old. That's really what I remember.
Yeah, just
and like a short sleeve shirt and stuff, and you were literally like in the astral plane, just like at 7.
Nice.
It was great. I just came and sat down next to you and went.
Nice. Just started meditating. Yeah. So something really interesting. All of that is just something I kind of keep in the back of my mind, you know. And I just like if things come that kind of like, you know, connect to it, like some synchronicities. Then I started to like think about it more. But just something that I always think about because I think I actually experienced this already. So in one of Robert Monroe's books, and then let's record the intro. Sorry, I just so in one of Robert Monroe's books, he talks about how he had an experience where he was in distress. One of his first times in the astrals, he had an experience where he was in distress, and a being came and aided him, right? Like came and helped him, and that's basically the long and short of it. Then fast forward a couple of years later, when he's a lot more proficient at astral projecting, and now he's able to go help other people, he randomly one day received a distress call, and he astral projected and went to go respond to the call, only to realize that it was himself from those years ago, right? So it's just kind of like I'm thinking already one possibility is that might have been I'm like thinking about what I'm about to say. That might have been some kind of like that might have been like a future now moment, me more proficient at astral projecting, and then me hearing, because like, you know, it's me or something along those lines. Like I don't know, I'm kind of, you know, I try not to like think too much about things, because then I don't want to like skew the direction.
Yeah, it's like you can't think too logically about spiritual things.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to understand them. It's
yeah,
that's interesting. I definitely think it's weird too. I don't know how your childhood was around 7, but around 7 was when I was going through a lot of things in my childhood. So I don't know if that somehow connects it as well too. I don't know if you were maybe going through something, and maybe we just like, as 7-year-olds, had a fucking fit and then just
yeah, like shit. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember exactly how old I was, but I mean, long story short, I have a rocky relationship with my dad. Like, we're good now because, you know, I've thrown it all away, you know, like I let it go. I'm like, whatever, you know. But yeah, my dad was like, I mean, in my assessment, not equipped to have kids when he had kids, and just
most parents,
you know, yeah, yeah,
creating the generation we have. So I guess there's
literally, and yeah, you know, I don't blame my dad. You know, he's also partly a byproduct of, you know, his life and the society and conditioning that he experienced. But yeah, no, my childhood was like good, but, you know, also filled with its own issues.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if maybe we like our souls either connected on a time frame back then, and I'm also trying to understand time and the astral realm relative to like here. Because I know, like, looking back on your memories and things like child work and shadow work and things, those are important because they help that child make a better decision that changes your now current reality. So I'm trying to kind of understand if I was communicating with the younger version, or if the younger version was trying to communicate this way, you know, like,
yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, no, all of this stuff is so fascinating to me. Like, I love it. Yeah,
it is, and it's cool to like have someone else to talk to that also is on TikTok, the same platform, going through very similar things. I think we definitely are in a soul family. That's what's even on this sheet that I wrote when I first like started talking. Yeah. But yeah, that's cool.
You know who Spiritual So is? Have you heard of him?
Spiritual So?
Yeah, Spiritual So. He's just like, you know, another like spiritual like content creator. There was one video that I thought was really important. I was talking about this with my my cousin. But basically, he's like, you know, your higher self, like, he's like, you already are your higher self, right? Like, in body, like, you have your higher, like, there is that, like, the oversoul with the collection of all your experiences and all that, you know. But then there's your higher self, like, the consciousness that you are is your higher self. The difference between your higher self and your lower self is basically what you do, you know, in the world, how you show up in the world, right? Like, he was talking about like FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. He was like, when you're embodying your higher self, you don't care about that kind of stuff, right? Like what you're doing is already the coolest thing that you can be doing, right? Like you don't like all the other stuff, you know, you don't need to go out and get approval, like any of that stuff, right? And I just thought that was like kind of important. That I was seeing a lot of people like I feel like some people have a disconnect with that notion of, you know, being their higher self, like it's a completely like separate, you know, like entity or energy that you have to like incorporate, right? In the sense that, you know, like both you and I are very different from who we used to be, but we're still the same people. We're just not expressing certain facets of like who we are, you know what I mean? So it's like being your embodying your higher self, at least as I've come to understand it, is really just expressing those facets, you know, of your higher self that are in line with like your mission and purpose and like stuff like that.
Not like hoping for the higher self.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, you know, like it's not like, you know, lower self like unity is completely different. Like if I chant, like when higher self unity comes in, I'm just like, you know, my cadence, and I just like talk differently and stuff like that, you know, like think differently, like I'm just like a whole completely different individual, you know. It's like, no, it's still me, because like, you know, we already are the divine light, you know, within us, like in these bodies. Like, yeah. Do you watch like Gaia?
I was thinking about it, but it's another one of those things where I was like, it costs money, so I don't know if I like it.
Yeah, no, I feel you, because they have really good content, like really interesting stuff.
I've been thinking about it. I've seen a lot of creators doing it, but I thought it was like one of those, oh, you're now spiritual, let's give you this thing that you now owe us money for. I'm like,
I feel that. I've learned a lot of stuff that seems to be like, a lot of stuff seems to be making its way through the public from Gaia, like first from Gaia, right? Like this one series called Demystifying Meditation with Dr. Joe Dispenza. Like that series really opened my eyes to a lot of things and really explained a lot of things to me, and I really like it because, like, you know, I like science a lot. And one of the things I try to do with my like TikTok is just explain to people, like, at least for me, right, one of the main things for spirituality, or like in spirituality, is really just like, it's just science, right? And I always say that because I don't know if you know who Bashar is.
I don't think so. It sounds familiar, but I can't put it.
I would recommend watching some of his stuff. Like Bashar is one of the first, like, so he's so his name is Daryl Anka, and he channels Bashar. Funny, cool thing about Daryl Anka, he's actually the guy who designed the ships in Star Trek, and he designed them after seeing a UFO, right? Like he saw one and he was like,
that's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna design them off of that, right? So then he channels a being that is, from my understanding, basically a future iteration of himself, right? He channels him. He's in like the Sirius like star system, and he's been like, the reason that he's been like channeling him, at least from Bashar's perspective, is to try to build communication between, you know, the humans and like one ET race, and co-create a reality where, you know, we're okay with them showing up, like we're ready for them, right? And he talks about a lot of stuff, like a lot of very interesting stuff. Like he's the person that I got, you know, always follow your highest passion, like at all times. Bashar talks about like the nature of reality and like how all these things like function, right? And one of the things that he stresses a lot, that I really liked about how he stresses it, like when people would ask him like certain questions, you know, like he talks about one of the things that you just said, right, or like said a little bit ago, how healing your past traumas and interacting with your past self like that changes the future, right? He talks about one of those things, and people ask him questions about that, and he always responds kind of like he's pissed off, which is like what's entertaining about it. But he always responds, and he's like, it's just physics. It's just physics, right? As to say, all these things, like science, the way Westerners have taken science, they've taken it to be like, oh no, like science is just all the like simple, boring, mundane stuff, you know. Science doesn't explain any of the supernatural, like no way, right? But what he's like stresses is that all of these things, supernatural, natural, whatever, all of these things, it's just physics. It's the nature of reality, right? It's how reality is set up, you know? And that's why I really always try to like stress that, right? And like all the videos that I make, I'm trying to just like show, you know, like I'm working on a series right now on TikTok that just like showcases more of this, you know, like more studies are being done, more scientists are starting to explain and, you know, like come out and say like, look, humans are psychic, whether you want to believe it or not, the science is here to prove it, right? Because that's the nature of reality, right? And it can all be understood within you know, like science is just the way to break down everything like really finite. But yeah, basically, so demystifying meditation was probably the best broken down scientific explanation that I've seen to manifestation.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like he really just like broke it down. Like, man, I have to like review the notes, but he talked about how like your mind and your thoughts are basically like a tuning fork, right? Like they tune to the frequency, and then the electromagnetic pull of your heart, you know, and like your heart chakra is what draws things, right? So like it's literally the magnetism, you know. That's why you have to like be grateful and live from the heart, you know, and follow your highest passion, right? And then have brain and heart coherence, right? Like your mind and heart need to be like wanting the same thing. That's how you quickly bring things. It's like really interesting. I would recommend watching it. Yeah.
That's cool though that they have like a physical explanation, because I've learned that's what a lot of people like if they haven't delved into the whole spiritual community much and don't meditate, let's say, and don't really learn much about things like this, but they still kind of think about them, you know. I've learned the best way to match them together, like for example the moon. I got somebody completely into spirituality solely off of talking about the moon once with them, and I was like, okay, you know how the moon cycles like affect your emotions, and people say that they do, and you know, like when full moons happen it affects everybody, and they're like yeah, but that's not true, that just doesn't sound right. I was like, well, the moon affects the water and the waves, and it makes the waves go, and what are you? You're mostly water.
Exactly.
So do you have that, think that at least has a little bit of a change in you? And that made them think, oh shit, there's a scientific connection.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's, I think, a big part of too, a big thing that a lot of people are trying to understand and trying to learn more about, and that's what pulls more people in. Is like, yeah, it's not bullshit. It's like
it's literally not
evidence that will still mesh with what your already preconceived ideas were sometimes. Sometimes not.
Yeah, sometimes not. But yeah, exactly. Like that's why it's not bullshit. It's just physics. It's just it's just science. It's just
well,
physics.
Then I guess maybe I just needed somebody else to go into the Gaia thing, and I wanted to see what it's about.
It's great. It's great. Yeah.
So, that'd be cool. That would be cool.
There's this other series that I started called Initiating Civilizations or something like that. And it's already like I watched like 2 episodes, and he was talking about how duality is actually not bad, right? And that was really interesting to me, because you know, every time somebody talks about duality, they're like, no, it's terrible, you know, you don't want to be dualistic, you want to have the unified perspective. Like that's the whole reason that I have the name that I have, right? It's because I was you know, I learned about how people always view things in a dualistic manner, right or wrong, black and white, you know, whatever, right? So I was like, I'm looking for the unity perspective. But what I was learning in this series is that duality is actually one of the best things that came about, and is the reason that we have so much diversity, right? Because duality came about from spirit asking itself, what can I become, right? And it talks about a lot of interesting stuff, like when your life is kind of like, you know, going down the shitter and like a lot of bad things are happening. He talks about, and this is, you know, like wisdom from like ancient like ET civilizations, because he's reincarnate and he has his memories from that lifetime. So he's talking about what his people understood and, you know, like knew, and like what they followed to like live their lives. And he's talking about how when your life is going down the shitter, so you have your mission and you have your purpose, and when your life is going down the shitter and negative things are happening, that's your mission pushing you towards your purpose, right? And it, like, when I heard that, I was like, wow, that actually kind of makes sense, because I can think of all the like fucked up shit that's happened and how it brought me to the point that I'm at, right? And now I'm getting closer to my purpose, and I'm like, okay, like that makes sense, right? So that's just like 2 of like thousands of like series that they have.
That'd be cool to like get into, especially like he's trying to learn more. Jimmy is he's trying to be more understanding, which I'm very grateful for. He's so open about a lot of things, but awesome. Also is very much in like the other world, you know.
I feel that, yeah.
So it's cool because these things are stuff that he likes to listen to. It's like people talking about this, but not claiming. Like, there's a guy I watch on Facebook. His name is Francis something, and he does live videos like all the time, and he channels somebody. And Jimmy's not used to channeling. He doesn't you know, which is hard for a lot of people to comprehend. He's channeling, but his message itself is really good, but I can't show that to Jimmy because okay, I'm too focused on the fact that he says
I feel that.
So like at least with like a series from Gaia or something, I'm sure they have a little bit more of a scientific explanation.
So much science.
It's not just one person, like person's perspective, I guess. It's like,
no, I love it because especially Dr. Joe Dispenza, he does so many experiments and just like showcases it to you, right? Like he literally proved that, you know, your thoughts and your emotions significantly impact your health, significantly. That within just like I think it was like a 30 or 60 day period, within just a 30 or 60, actually he took a sample group that was even smaller than that, but basically he's like, if you just every day think positive thoughts, feel the positive emotions, those high emotions of love, joy, and all that, you will physiologically start to change, right? And you see it immediately. He also talks about becoming your own alchemist, right? Which is basically, long story short, the placebo effect, right? You know, you give somebody a sugar pill and you tell them, hey, this is gonna help you with this, and they take it and they're like, oh my God, you're right, the pain's gone, right? And people are just kind of like, oh, you know, whatever, placebo effect. And they don't really think about the implications of that. But what he's shown is that happens because the mind already has the ability to produce everything. Like you can produce everything that you need to heal and fix yourself, really, if you know how to control your body, right? It's kind of like some Wim Hof stuff. You know? Exactly, literally a machine. So I think that's like, demystifying meditation is a really good place to start, because he actually he did one experiment where he gave someone, I think it was with Alzheimer's, he gave him a pill, and basically like some receptors are supposed to be filled by that pill, and you know, it was just a sugar pill, and that person experienced like they took a CT scan, right? And like the receptors were filled. It's literally like the proof is there, but people don't want to look at it, you know, they don't want to talk about it. Yeah, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. We hope that it was, you know, enjoyable, informative, whatever. I hope you liked it. We certainly liked it. We had a great time. And yeah, we hope to see you guys soon. Hope you have a wonderful day, manifesting the reality in line with your highest self. Let us know what we could do to improve the podcast, you know, anything like that, music, you know, whatever else. Yeah,
like a camera soon too, so I'll have a similar setup, not as close.
No, it'll be good. It'll be good. In la catch alakin and namaste. Thing like people try to be like, oh, if you're spiritual, you can't spend any time around electronics, you can't own any possessions, you know, and like stuff like that. And I think it really comes down to just balance. Like, are we balancing our relationships to these things, you know?
Yeah, like I chose to be here in this body, so that's one thing I'm learning is like, while it's important to meditate, it's important to like have your breaks, to like not drink as much, to be wary of the things that you're looking at, to maybe not play the video games all day long every single day or something, and like get absorbed in it or get upset or so upset that it like hurts you emotionally if something goes wrong.
Yeah,
like, you know, things like that. But also I don't want to just sit here like
Yeah,
for
like
every
all
day of
day.
my life ever, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm a human.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's like, I remember a friend. Well, I mean, you know, I love everyone. He he tends to project a
Challenge
lot.
you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, basically, he was talking about how, like, technology isn't natural, right? You know, and you know, humans were never meant to look at themselves. We're never meant to look in a mirror, or, like, look in a camera and all that. You know, I'm just kind of like, I think honestly, not everything that exists right now, but most of what really just comes out of either the human imagination or is given to us by some kind of ET life form, you know, so that we can advance. That's all natural, you know. Like all
Yeah.
these, all everything, it's all made of minerals. It's all natural, you know. It's just, it's like all of these things, like inventions, are really just like discoveries, you know.
Yeah.
Like the first car, right? Like he discovered how to utilize the physics of reality to create a device that would carry, you know what I mean? Like it's the same thing with like screens and all that. So it's like, it's a matter of perspective as far as I can tell, you know.
Yeah, and I know with this screen thing too, like technology people will say it's not natural, which is semi-true and semi-not. But also human beings are a machine, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Like you put things into the machine to give it energy, like you plug it into a wall to give it electricity, to give it, you know, like you put things in your body, you have certain knowledges that thing holds that you can uncover from looking into it, like most technologies are. Like you can utilize the body physically to do things, just like some technologies, like a Roomba, for example. I can use a Roomba so I can vacuum my floor without having to touch it, you know. Like it is a technology in itself, so we really just need to learn how to use this one. Like, I think that's the part, is like, while these other ones we're creating are really cool, we need to like look at the cooler fucking technology.
Yeah, no,
this
that
weird skin suit thing.
That's something I tell my friends a lot, or at least I tell my friends. I tell my one friend, the one friend who, like, it's so funny because it's like I actually just like not really like rant, but it's like I think as I'm speaking a lot, and I tend to like kind of just like keep speaking as I'm like thinking, and then like thinking about what
it's good because you don't filter it. You don't filter.
Yeah, I just
filter is what hurts you. That's usually what hurts people. When you don't filter things and you truly get down to the being of who you are and saying and doing what you need to do, then things will start to make sense.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's funny also because I think I told you I did the like human design like thing, right?
Human design. I guess go farther into that.
It's just like, it's a combination of a lot of different things like astrology and like some like other like things. I forgot what exactly, but it was just like scary accurate when I did it, right? And so just like in my personal experience, like I just said, so I talk to myself a lot, right? You know, I spend a lot of time just like I literally like talk to myself all the time, and it's so funny. It's just like, I've done this since I was young, and then all the things I learned about doing that, you know, and like the benefits of doing that and why people do that. And I'm like, oh, cool, awesome. I'm not crazy, you know? So, wait, actually, now, wait, remind me, what did you just say? What was I trying to make a point about something.
We were talking about the human body being.
Oh yeah, the human design. Thank you. Sorry. All right. Yeah. So basically, I talk to myself all the time. I have a lot of realizations as I'm talking to myself, right?
Mhm.
And when I did my human design, the kind, so there's like different kinds of like categories, I guess would be the best way to like explain that.
Mhm.
There's like manifesting generator. Honestly, I forgot the rest. I remember manifesting generator because I'm a manifesting
He's
generator.
like, I only cared about me.
Yeah,
Like,
it was a lot of information. I just like
I love it.
Yeah.
That's me sometimes. You gotta do that.
Yeah, I just like sat down and like read through the PDF, and you know, I was like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, that's me. All right, awesome. You know, but yeah, it's like you have different motors in, you know, like in your body, like, you know, I guess like centers where the energy is like really strong, and
Mhm.
I, you know, apparently, right, according to the human design, I have a motor in my voice, right, and it was like in my throat, right. And it was explaining that for me, and this was the craziest part. It literally had this written down. It was like realizations through speaking, right? And
So yeah, literally, yeah. What
I'm
you
like, wow, yeah, I can think of a plethora of occasions where I've just like said something to myself and realized something through saying it, you know?
Yeah. I just did that like earlier today. I've been wondering when I want to post on TikTok lately with everything else that I'm doing right now. So I just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get my thoughts out, and I put my phone up and started recording, and then just talked for like 10 minutes, and then rewatched it. And like when I rewatched it, I was even like noticing things that I
Nice, yeah.
hadn't deleted the whole thing. It's not going anywhere, but it helped me, and I learned something,
Oh.
you know. Like,
No, exactly. I mean, that's ultimately the best thing that can happen, you know, and then you can move from there. Yeah.
I like talking with you. I love what I knew.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was actually thinking about like what you said before, like we should like record or like stream like our first like talk and all that, you know. And I'm glad I'm recording all this, because I'm like, honestly, we could probably use some of the stuff.
That's what I was thinking of, like, you know, maybe just do the intro later, and then you'll have to edit that
and
part of the
yeah,
beginning.
just edit
But,
and like bounce around, you know, and just like talk and